Welcome back to Football Daily, where today we take a look at 10 managers silencing their haters. Let's get into it. 10. Eddie Howe. We start in Newcastle, where Eddie Howe has exceeded expectations since his arrival at St James's Park in November 2021. After all, the former Bournemouth manager had been out of work for over a year, and at the Cherries averaged 66 goals conceded a season during their 5 Premier League campaigns. But the new Saudi regime chose Howe over the likes of Paulo Fonseca, Roberto Martinez and Lucien Favre, and so far, it's paying dividends. The Magpies were bottom of the league following his first game in charge, but finished the season in 11th. And now, entering the closing stages of 22-23, no side has lost less than the 3 games Newcastle have all campaign, as they find themselves on the verge of Champions League qualification. There's no doubt the massive cash influx assisted, allowing the likes of Sven Botman and Alexander Isak to appear on Tyneside, but it was expected that Howe would merely be a stopgap until a higher profile manager became available. But with the first Champions League qualification since 2003 a possibility, there'll certainly be discussions in the boardroom about extending Howe's contract beyond its current 2024 expiration. 9. Thiago Motta. Upon entering the coaching game with PSG's under-19s in 2018, Thiago Motta instantly hit the headlines with comments about revolutionising football with a 2-7-2 formation. Although this was misinterpreted, it cast an unnecessary target upon his back, and only now is the 40-year-old starting to shake it. His first senior role came with former club Genoa in 2019, but the ex-Brazil and Italy international was sacked after just 2 victories in 10 games. It took 18 months for Motta to get another gig, this time at lowly Spezia, who are amongst the favourites for relegation from Serie A, having barely survived the season prior and amid an impending transfer ban. But he led the Anchilotto to safety and earned himself the top job at Bologna last September, where he continues to impress, having led his new side from 17th into the top half of the table. Motta won Serie A Manager of the Month in February, with one of his victories coming over Inter Milan, a former club of the midfielders, and one also said to be monitoring him in the event they sack Simone Inzaghi. Maybe Thiago Motta does know what he's talking about after all. 8. Rob Edwards. Fewer managers are doing as good a job as Rob Edwards at Championship side Luton Town. However, the 40-year-old didn't start the season leading the Hatters, instead managing their biggest rivals Watford, having left Forest Green Rovers for Vicarage Road following League 2 glory last campaign. However, the former Welsh international was unsurprisingly on a short leash with the Hornets, and by the end of September was jobless after just 3 wins in his first 10 games in England's second tier. 7 weeks later, Edwards had landed the job at Kenilworth Road after Nathan Jones's departure to Southampton. At that moment, Watford had climbed to 5th, whilst Luton were in 13th. 4 months on though, it's a different story. Edwards' Luton Town have lost just 2 of their last 17 games, finding themselves 3rd with an outside shot of automatic promotion. Watford meanwhile slipped down the table, sacked new boss Slaven Bilic and are now 12th. Edwards is more than proving his managerial capabilities just 20 miles up the M1. And there's no doubt Hatters fans are looking down on their rivals with a touch of Schadenfreude. 7. Maurizio Sarri. Napoli may have taken Serie A by storm, but the table reveals another surprise package in second place Lazio. L'Aquile are on course for their best league finish since the 1999-2000 campaign when they last claimed the Scudetto, and they've done it playing football the Maurizio Sarri way. Just Napoli better their 85% pass accuracy in Serie A, while most of their attacking play centres around patient build-up from the back. Lazio dominate the space in their own half, resulting in one of the most defensively solid teams in all of Europe, with only Barcelona conceding fewer goals in all the major divisions. Sarri's excellent man management has got the best out of his squad too, with Matthias Zaccagni reborn on the left side of his attack and Felipe Anderson thriving as a false 9. Given Juventus discarded the 64-year-old after one campaign, a season where he won Serie A and reached the Coppa Italia final, it's refreshing to see the former Chelsea boss back to his best. Perhaps the Blues even feel a tinge of regret letting him leave Stamford Bridge too. 6. Qique Setien. Qique Setien always looked out of his depth at Barcelona. The Cantabrian had never won any major silverware across almost 2 decades on the touchline. Instead, the only logical reason for Barcelona hiring him was his devotion to the Cruyffian style of football, with Setien renowned for his attacking high-possession tactics. But recalibrating Barcelona back into a passing machine was particularly challenging after over 3 years of the cautious Ernesto Valverde tactics. An infamous 8-2 thumping at the hands of Bayern Munich sealed his fate, and Setien was moved on. His reputation was so heavily heavily damaged, it took him over 2 years to find a new job. Now Setien is back, this time succeeding Unai Emery at Villarreal. And he has done an excellent job so far, winning half of his games in charge, including a domestic double over Real Madrid. Currently 5th, don't bet against Villarreal, making a late push for the Champions League. The Yellow Submarine took a chance on what appeared to be damaged goods, yet Setien is proving he's still fit for purpose. 5. Unai Emery. Since Unai Emery arrived at Aston Villa on November 1st, 2022, only Arsenal and Man City have taken more points in the Premier League. It signals a remarkable turnaround for the Birmingham outfit, who were 17th when Gerrard was finally shown the door. 17 games and 11 wins later, Villa are into 6th, salivating at the sight of Tottenham and Man United ahead of them. On arrival, Emery announced he wanted to win a European trophy for his new employers, and at the rate he is going, that opportunity could be soon. Getting Villa into Europe will be another remarkable achievement, especially if that success comes in the Premier League, a division many declared beyond the former PSG boss after being fired by Arsenal back in November 2019. Derided for his difficulty with the English language, Emery always faced a daunting task following in the footsteps of Arsene Wenger, but his time away from England delivered a Europa League title for Villarreal and a Champions League semi-final too. Clearly more comfortable at the ambitious underdog, it's good to see Emery silencing his doubters once more with his fine work at Villa Park. 4. Jose Mourinho. After being sacked by Tottenham, Jose Mourinho's critics were quick to pile on the Portuguese super coach. With another toxic atmosphere left in his wake, the argument was simple. Mourinho's abrupt man management was no longer suited to the modern game. His next job at Roma continued the narrative that the former Chelsea boss was no longer attractive to Europe's elite. But Mourinho has quickly got to work in the Eternal City, winning the Europa Conference League in his first season and putting the club on course for Champions League action this term. They sit 3rd in an ever-changing top 4 race, hampered by an inconsistency that's seen them lose 8 and draw 5 of their 29 league games. However, according to expected goals against, they should have one of the tightest defences in all of Europe, let alone Italy. And going forward, the Giallorossi have underperformed their expected goals by 11.5. In truth, they are excellent value for their march towards Europe's top table. In typical Mourinho style, Roma defend hard, maintain their shape and are happy without possession, achieve top 4 or win the Europa League, and Roma will be foolish not to hand the 6-year-old the backing in the market he craves. 3. Xavi. For all the respect and clamour Xavi commands at Barcelona, his return to the club carried a number of question marks. The Spaniard's only experience on the touchline had been with Al Sadd in Qatar, and rehabilitating a Barcelona side riddled with issues on and off the pitch looked a monumental challenge. His first season at Barcelona brought little in the way of joy. The Blaugrana were helpless in their pursuit of Real Madrid in La Liga, crashed out of the Copa del Rey in the last 16, and failed to progress out of the Champions League group for the first time in 20 years. But credit where credit's due, Xavi has Barcelona purring this season. Yes, Europe has been a disaster once more, but domestically the Catalonians have been near perfect. Xavi has coached the tightest defence on the continent, conceding just 9 all season, while the club are 12 points clear of their nearest rivals Real Madrid. Only Los Blancos have scored more than their 53 goals too, with their decision to sign Rafinha and Robert Lewandowski paying dividends so far. With the Supercopa de España already secured and La Liga firmly in their grasp, Xavi is reprogramming Barcelona into a title-winning machine once more. 2. Roger Schmidt. When Roger Schmidt was fired at Bayer Leverkusen back in March 2017, he looked like another product of the Red Bull system that could coach an excellent attack full of pace and power, but defensively was naive and disorganised. At the time of his sacking, no Bundesliga club had conceded more from set pieces than Leverkusen, and Schmidt's next posting at Beijing Guoan suggested the continent's top sides were wary of his limitations. However, Schmidt has returned to Europe in style. A 2-year stint with PSV Eindhoven delivered multiple domestic trophies, and now the 56-year-old is busy turning Benfica into a truly formidable outfit. Benfica have only lost 3 times in 46 games this season, while Schmidt's win percentage stands at an astonishing 80%. The Primera Liga may not be flush with quality, but the Eagles have excelled on the continent too, with Benfica gunning for the Champions League final for the first time since 1990. What's more, they boast the best attack and defence in Portugal, with Schmidt showing no frailties in his coaching anymore. His reputation fully restored, he could have his pick of Europe's elite once he's finished in Benfica. 1. Paulo Fonseca. Let go by Roma in 2021 to make way for one Jose Mourinho, there were doubts that Paulo Fonseca could still lead a team with European intentions. Admittedly entering a situation off the back of a number of expensive mistakes by former sporting director Monchi, Fonseca could only lead the Giallorossi to 5th and 7th in his 2 years, his final campaign resulting in the club's lowest points tally in 9 years, and 16 points off Champions League qualification. Over the next year, the 50-year-old would spurn interest from Spurs, Newcastle and Aston Villa, before taking the reins at Lille in the summer of 2022, who had just followed up a title win with 10th place in Ligue 1. And even at the Stade Pierre-Mauroy, the Portuguese coach had a shaky start, losing 4 of his first 9 games, including a 7-1 mauling by PSG in front of their own fans. Since then though, Les Dogs have recovered to 5th under Fonseca, but can count themselves unlucky not to be higher. Both their attack and defence are underperforming by around 3 goals, whilst expected points sees them in second, leapfrogging Lens, Marseille and Monaco comfortably. This season may yield little for Fonseca in northeast France, but he's setting up his Lille side to defy expectations next campaign. So guys, that was our rundown of 10 managers silencing their haters this season. What did you guys think of the list and who did we miss out? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to Football Daily for more great daily football content, and I'll catch you next time.